Okay, here we go. Course in Miracles, chapter 15. The Holy Instant is the name of this chapter, and the section that we are on is section 8. It's called The Only Real Relationship. The Holy Instant does not replace the need for learning, for the Holy Spirit must not leave you as your teacher until the Holy Instant has extended far beyond time. For a teaching assignment such as this, he must use everything in the world for your release. He must side with every sign or token of your willingness to learn of him what the truth must be. He is swift to utilize whatever you offer him on behalf of this. His concern and care for you are limitless. In the face of your fear of forgiveness, which he perceives as clearly as he knows forgiveness is release, he will teach you to remember that forgiveness is not loss, but your salvation, and that in complete forgiveness, in which you recognize that there is nothing to forgive, you are absolved completely. Hear him gladly and learn of him that you have need of no special relationships at all. You but seek in them what you have thrown away, and through them you will never learn the value of what you have cast aside but still desire with all your heart. Let us join together in making the Holy Instant all that there is by desiring that it be all that there is. God's Son has such great need of your willingness to strive for this that you cannot conceive of need so great. Behold the only need that God and his Son share and will to meet together. You are not alone in this. The will of your creations calls to you to share your will with them. Turn then in peace from guilt to God and them. Relate only with what will never leave you and what you can never leave. The loneliness of God's Son is the loneliness of his Father. Refuse not the awareness of your completion and seek not to restore it to yourself. Fear not to give redemption over to your Redeemer's love. He will not fail you, for he comes from one who cannot fail. Accept your sense of failure as nothing more than a mistake in who you are. For the holy host of God is beyond failure, and nothing that he wills can be denied. You are forever in a relationship so holy that it calls to everyone to escape from loneliness and join you in your love. And where you are must everyone seek and find you there. Think but an instant on this. God gave the sonship to you to ensure your perfect creation. This was his gift, for as he withheld himself not from you, he withheld not his creation. Nothing that ever was created but is yours. Your relationships are with the universe, and this universe, being of God, is far beyond the petty sum of all the separate bodies you perceive. For all its parts are joined in God through Christ, where they become like to their Father. Christ knows of no separation from his Father, who is his one relationship, in which he gives as his Father gives to him. The Holy Spirit is God's attempt to free you of what he does not understand. And because of the source of the attempt, it will succeed. The Holy Spirit asks you to respond as God does, for he would teach you what you do not understand. God would respond to every need, whatever form it takes. And so he keeps this channel open to receive his communication to you and yours to him. God does not understand your problem in communication, for he does not share it with you. It is only you who believe that it is understandable. The Holy Spirit knows that it is not understandable, and yet he understands it because you made it. In the Holy Spirit alone lies the awareness of what God cannot know and what you do not understand. It is his holy function to accept them both, and by removing every element of disagreement to join them into one. He will do this because it is his function. Leave then what seems to you to be impossible to him who knows it must be possible because it is the will of God. And let him whose teaching is only of God teach you the only meaning of relationships. For God created the only relationship that has meaning, and that is his relationship with you. Okay. As usual, difficult to understand. Lots of interesting language. I think the section is called The Only Real Relationship. The only real relationship we have is our divine relationship, right? And ultimately, that is not a relationship. That is merely a oneness. That is merely a singularity, not a relationship, as Jesus says elsewhere in the Course, and implies throughout, which is basically this. It seems to be this non-dual understanding, but it might not be non-duality. It's no one. I don't think anyone really fully understands this, and I would challenge or question someone who thinks that they do. Let me just mention, I was just having a discussion in the car. My wife was listening to a video of Sadhguru. Sadhguru was saying, he was answering a question. I didn't hear the video, but it was, what is the purpose of life? And he said that life doesn't have a purpose. Now, in a way that's true, when you look at it from the point of view of the ego, when you look at it from the point of view of the Holy Spirit, the purpose is to return back home. And the Holy Spirit, what is the Holy Spirit? The Holy Spirit seems to be this bridge between God and us, right? Why does there need to be a bridge? Well, because as Jesus says here, God he doesn't understand the problem. He doesn't know that there's a problem. Why? Because if God knew there was a problem, God would not be God. God created only love, and that is God's only reality. As Meister Eckhart once said, God is at home. It is we that have gone out for a walk. We have chosen to go to dream this dream, right? And in choosing to dream this dream, we're lost. And the Holy Spirit is that bridge that the Holy Spirit knows. It says, let's read this real quick here. In the Holy Spirit alone lies the awareness of what God cannot know and what you do not understand. It is his holy function, meaning that it is the Holy Spirit's holy function to accept them both, and by removing every element of disagreement to join them into one. He will do this because it is his function, right? So the Holy Spirit's function is to bring us back to God, to the knowledge of God, right? First to the perception, first to right perception, and finally that right perception will translate into the knowledge of God, and knowledge in this case would be gnosis, which is the oneness, merging back into God, essentially. God does not understand your problem in communication, for he does not share it with you. And it is only you who believe it is understandable. The Holy Spirit knows it is not understandable, and yet he understands it because you made it. So the Holy Spirit knows that we are confused, we're lost, right? And he understands that because he sees that what we have made, whereas God does not. So the Holy Spirit is that part of our mind that is still in contact with our reality. In other words, it's still in contact with God. God has not gone anywhere. That part of our mind is I don't know if it says it in the Course, but Ken Wapnick has talked about the lighthouse. It's the lighthouse. It's that part of our mind that remembers, still has the memory of the love of God. And that's the part of our mind that, we get in touch with when we start to get into this place of, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be something more than what's going on here. There has to be a deeper reality. It's like I mentioned another Police song, I think, the other day, but this is actually a Sting solo Sting song, there is a deeper world than this. I don't know if you ever heard that song, but there's a deeper world than this. Or there has to be, and then he also had the Police song, yeah, there has to be an invincible sun. Or invisible sun. Did he say, yeah. It's an invincible sun, but I think he said invisible sun in his song. So that's the part of ourselves. It's like, there has to be a better way. And the Holy Spirit is that memory that is like the bridge between us and the reality of God, or the reality of existence. If you don't like the word God, but or the universe. Although when we think of the universe, we think of the material universe, the physical universe, but this is not the physical universe. This is the universe in the sense of the one song that the Son sings to the Father and the Father sings to the Son, which is also a metaphor, But universe, uni, one, verse, song. So another thing that Jesus says here, which is worth noting, in the face of your fear of forgiveness, which he perceives as clear as he knows forgiveness is release, he will teach you to remember that forgiveness is not loss, but your salvation. And that in complete forgiveness, in which you recognize that there is nothing to forgive, you are absolved completely. So this is a definition of what complete forgiveness. And Jesus says throughout, you have to arrive at the place of complete forgiveness. You have to completely forgive. What is complete forgiveness? Complete forgiveness is the knowing that there is nothing to forgive. And what is the knowing that there is nothing to forgive? Well, that is the atonement principle, which is the principle that the separation from God never happened. If the separation from God never happened, then there was never anything ever to forgive. There was only, if there was any need whatsoever, it was a need to wake up from the dream of separation, right? And we're all in the process of waking up from this dream of separation, or the illusion of separation. It's not to say that, in reality, we are not separate. That's the atonement principle, is nothing has ever changed. God has never changed. God does not see a problem because there is no problem. God does not understand our dilemma because God does not share our dilemma. But the Holy Spirit, that is really our teacher in all of this, the Holy Spirit knows what the deal is, and the Holy Spirit can help us, is what is here to help us to extract ourselves and to let go of what is in the way of the memory of the love of God that is still there. It has never left us. And you could say the Holy Spirit is that memory of the love of God. But the Holy Spirit itself is not the love of God. And it is and it isn't. It's Holy Spirit is just as a construct, as I understand it. The Holy Spirit is a construct that will ultimately also dissolve. But that's an open question, because there are people that say the Holy Spirit will still be around once we return back to God's kingdom or God's reality, however you want to put it. The Holy Spirit will be no more. Also, Jesus is just an illusion, right? The Holy Spirit is an illusion. Jesus is an illusion. Even God, in the sense of God as a name and a form, is an illusion. But the reality is beyond all these concepts, all these names, all these forms. So it's, ultimately, it's not even, doesn't make any sense to even talk about them. It doesn't make any sense to talk about God. It doesn't make any sense to talk about the Holy Spirit. It doesn't make any sense to talk about Jesus, even using the word love. It just is. you know, obviously, this is not something we can really talk about on this side of the veil, because we are still in the dualistic understanding. And that's why this is so hard to accept, because it's hard to see beyond the dualistic understanding, and even to accept that we are in a dualistic framework and that we've accepted a dualistic framework. That's how can you see that from within it? It's very difficult. That's why you need someone from outside of it, in this case Jesus, that comes and says, all right, here's the deal. This is actually what's going on. And you can trust it, or you can trust that this is true and follow the way that I'm sharing with you, or not. That's up to you. But you will come around to this in some way or another. You're gonna see that this is true. And I'm just here to save you time. If you want to save some time, if you want to save yourself some agony, the suffering of not knowing and being so so much in alignment with the ego, or an allegiance to the ego, you could save yourself a lot of suffering sooner if you want to. But that's Jesus again. Love does not force, love does not coerce, and Jesus is not doing that here. He's just saying, this is it. I did this myself. I was a man. I was a human being. I walked this path myself. I can vouch for it. I can tell you that this is true beyond a shadow of a doubt. You do not know that, so I understand if you're not ready to go there yet because of your fear. I understand, and I'm not going to force you. I'm just going to share it with you, and you might accept a little bit right now, and maybe in a little later you'll accept more, but take your time. Only as it says in the beginning of the course. This is a Course in Miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take it is up to you. Right? So you can take all the time you need. Jesus knows it's scary. The Holy Spirit knows the problem. God does not. So anyway, I hope this was helpful a little bit today. I know this is very challenging in many ways, and I'm not always fully able to express. Sometimes I feel like it flows a little bit better. You can always leave a comment and let me know. If you have any questions or anything, let me know. Next section is the Holy Instant and the Attraction of God. And then we're close to the end of this chapter. So we'll see you soon. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned for more. Bye-bye.